Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Stand in the wrong place and then, everything gets ruined.
No, don't worry about it. It's rare that they ask for the videos, and it's fine.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
My presentation is on social media addiction and empathy. To begin, 6 in 10 teens use TikTok or Instagram and 55% use Snapchat, according to Michelle Faviero, a research associate, and Olivia Sidati, a research analysis. Social media addiction is a true thing with true consequences. According to Josh Feeney and Ruth Elegam, a general medicine doctor, and Anika Kara, also a medicine doctor, say that social media addiction is compulsively checking your phone and always being worried when off of it. Social media was first created by Andrew Weinrich in 1996 with his website 6 Degrees. In the 20th century, social media rapidly increased, first with Friendster and LinkedIn in 2002, YouTube in 2005, Pinterest in 2010, and then Reels in 2016 on Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook, which teens still use now. This graph shows the increased use of social media over time by the millions. As you can see, from January 2014 to January 2024, the amount of users on social media has more than doubled. Because of this, social media addiction is very important. With the increased use of social media over time, more people will have social media addiction as well. This is bound to have an impact, especially on adolescents, as their brains are still developing. Specifically, their emotions and communication is still developing. The word that relates to both emotions and communications is empathy, and it's bound to have either a positive or negative impact with increased social media usage. This led me to ask my question: to what extent does the effect of social media have on social media addiction and empathy for adolescents and their peers? After reviewing the data, I came up with my claim: the excess use of social media in adolescents can lead to social media addiction, which can lead to decreased empathy towards one's peers. My first reason to support this is that as social media usage increases, it begins to adapt to preferences, leading to a difficult time putting down one's phone. First, Layla Baroun says that social media is a technology artifact. This means that it fills social voids and creates thrills, leading to a difficult time putting down one's phone. To connect this to adolescents, Mohammed Daviasfani says that adolescents learn to control themselves as they get older. This leads to motivation. However, this can be a positive or negative motivation, leading to teens needing an output or a way to escape. Many teens turn to their phones for this, and this actually leads to increased social media addiction. My second reason is that there's decreased face-to-face communication because of increased social media, and this affects people's understandings of others. People now sit alone at coffee shops instead of talking to each other. Fiera et al. Says that technology is now implanted in daily lives. It decreases people talking to each other at coffee shops and increases isolated tables and people sitting alone on technology. Also, Paula Sin Lee, who is a researcher on social media, says that there's no verbal cues and there's no warmth in conversations online. This leads to more shallowness and impersonality. Furthermore, saying that social media decreases face-to-face communications and affects communication skills and understandings. My third and final reason is that social media affects personality, especially with adolescents because their brains are still developing. I've talked about this a little bit earlier, but now I'm going to dive deeper into it. First off, violent videos online lead to decreased empathy and increased insensitivity and overall personality change. Brenda Bacharse, a doctor, had a former Army soldier as a patient, and this Army soldier had PTSD. However, he continued to watch violent videos on his feeds as they continued to pop up. Over time, he started viewing these videos and talking about them with a certain dehumanization and harshness. This shows that social media starts having an effect on people's personality and can overall completely change someone's personality over time. Also, adolescents learn behavior control as they get older. Mendoka Añez, a social media communication researcher on adolescents, says that there's increased white matter in your brain during adolescence because this helps to develop communication and behavior control. However, this can be affected by different communications online instead of more face-to-face communications. My counterclaim is that with increased empathy actually increases online because of increased social media usage, and this is because there's more time spent talking to people online. There's a study by Franklin M. Collins, a professor at Georgia Southern University, that showed that increased time on Facebook led to more self-esteem, life satisfaction, and empathy concern. However, my rebuttal to this is that people on social media have less time spent talking face-to-face, and this leads to decreased communication skills and less empathy, as I mentioned earlier in one of my previous reasons. People on social media have less empathy, and this is because, as I said, of the decreased face-to-face communications. And Fear et al. Say that people at coffee shops are disconnected from the world with their headphones on and their technology out, furthermore showing of this decreased face-to-face communications. These results are inconsistent with my other sources, and it may show that there was a faulty lab, or that Facebook may be the one source that actually does increase empathy, which was one of my limitations that I will talk about later. Some future steps for you to take is to limit yourself on electronics, or try a cleansing time from your electronics. Try your best to get away from technology, and over time it will get easier to talk to people face to face instead of more online. Also try to actively talk and build relationships with people outside of social media. Some limitations to my research is that I did not look at a specific age in the range of adolescents that were most impacted, and I did not look at the social media sites most impacted, which would have been interesting considering, as I talked about earlier, Franklin and Collins' study was all about how Facebook in particular increased social media or usage and empathy, and how it could be interesting to see if there was different conclusions drawn from different social media sites. In conclusion, social media addiction in adolescents leads to decreased empathy, and it can, as social media increases, it adapts, leading to a harder time putting down one's phone, which is one of my reasons. There's decreased face-to-face communication because of increased social media, and this leads to a difficult understanding of others. And finally, social media affects personalities, especially for adolescents, because their brains are still developing. Thank you.
All right. Ready for oral defense?
No.
You got this. Okay, Bella. Did your research go in a different direction than you originally expected?
Yes. When I first started, I wanted to look at only face-to-face communications and how it affects things like eye contact and other things like that. But then I realized that topic was really broad, and I needed to put it more in less broaden it. And when I looked at my source with Brandon Batarse, the doctor who had a patient with the Army soldier with PTSD, and how he started doing it with demonization and harshness, I kind of thought of the idea oh, empathy might be a good way to go because that's more specific, and that talks a lot more about specific communications and stuff, and I can go a lot of different ways with that. So that's how I got to that.
Okay, thank you. And your second question, what additional questions emerged from your research, and why do you think they might be important?
Yeah, some additional questions were definitely what social media sites are most impacted, and what age group is most impacted. I know adolescents are, but what specifically in adolescents, what ranges? Is it 16 to 18? Is it people just starting social media use? I think they're important because I feel even though this area of research is great, it's really researched a lot, there's still a lot more specifics we could go into. Like I said, Brandon Batarse's article was all about he talked about adults and stuff, but then an article about cyberbullying by Zhu Qingshu, I didn't include this, but it talked more about adolescents and college students and how that cyberbullying affected their empathy. And so it's just really interesting to see the different age groups and how those are affected. So it would have been more interesting to look into that.
All right, thank you.
Your time was 6:47, in case you're curious.